Happiness, fulfillment, passion, and success. It's what we all want, but it's not always so easy to come by. Welcome to Crossroads. My name is Angela Vescio Wilcox, and I'm your host. I help people realize their dreams. As a life coach, marketing professional, and small business entrepreneur, I figured out a way to make my dreams come true. With this program, Crossroads, my goal is to inspire and motivate people like you to take charge of your life, consider all the possibilities available, and help you make changes that will lead you to pursuing your dream and have the most meaningful and fulfilling life possible.
Hi, my name is Angela Vescio Wilcox. Welcome to Crossroads. Today we're going to be talking about life coaching. And my first guest today is Lisa Falso. She's a good friend of mine. Lisa, thank you for coming.
Anytime.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great.
Congratulations on your show and your new Crossroads.
Thank you very much. So before we get started, I just wanted to talk a little bit about life coaching and sort of give people some background as to what it's all about. Life coaching really is just a process to help people move forward in their lives. So we look at their entire life in terms of more or less we might look at their health, we might look at their finances, we look at relationships, we look at maybe their home environment. So we're really looking holistically at people's lives. So a lot of times people might come to life coaching thinking they may want to talk about a career change or that they're not happy with their job. But essentially, once we do some digging, we might find out that really what they're needing is to maybe move somewhere else or live somewhere else. So it's something that we kind of look at, really try to dig a little deeper and figure out what the underlying issues might be. So the other thing that I just want to clarify a little bit for people is I often get asked, what's the difference between life coaching and therapy? And therapy really, actually life coaching is really more about working with a healthy individual. So it's not really working with somebody who may have major depression or an addiction or things like that. It's really for someone who's, relatively healthy and wants to just make some positive changes in their lives. So, I think life coaching is very different in that respect, and we always occasionally may direct somebody to go see a therapist in conjunction with a life coach. So the other big difference in terms of therapy and life coaching is therapy generally deals with the past. We look at, childhood and past experiences, whereas life coaching is really very forward-thinking in terms of the future, always looking towards the future. So those are kind of the bigger differences. So with that being said, let's get you talking about yourself. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and kind of how this all came to be?
Well, we've been friends for a long time, and you had begun a journey and started life coaching, and the process had intrigued me. And when the opportunity came where I was at my own question point of, do I stay with a career I've been with for 15 years, or do I move on and look at what's else out there for me in the world, and what can I do? I loved what I did, but it was behind a desk, and I just wasn't feeling passionate about it anymore. And it was...
What was it exactly that you were sort of doing?
I was working for a business as director of sales operations, and worked my way from being in customer service all the way up to director of sales ops. And
how many years was it that you were there?
I was there probably about 12 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. Yeah.
I've lost count because it was so long ago. But it was a great experience. Met a lot of wonderful people, a lot of great travel experience, and inner building of doing different things that never saw myself doing. But I felt like there was something else out there for me. So I took a risk and found myself out there and trying to decide what to do, and then, decided to talk to you beyond our friendship.
Right. So what were you kind of feeling at the time when you were sort of faced at this crossroads? You were kind of in transition. So Were you just thinking, oh my God, what do I do next? Or were you more just excited about exploring things?
I think anyone would be nervous. I mean, when you're faced with, you know, where's my next check coming, or how am I going to support myself? What am I going to do? You know, I have a long life hopefully to live, and how is that going to look? You know, so you do get concerned, and it's always scary to take that step. And sometimes it's the smallest step you take that opens up other doors. So I was looking to open up those doors, but wasn't sure what those doors were. Through time with you, you know, you helped me focus a little bit more and really identify some things.
So tell us a little bit about sort of the process when we worked together and the life coaching and how that worked.
Well, as I said, I think that, you know, you helped me find things and answers in myself that maybe I knew, but help kind of bring those questions out. And I think for me, it was easier to talk to you, not because you were someone I knew, but because you weren't connected to me in my home life, as far as, you know, talking to your spouse or someone you're living with that, you know, you're dealing with combining your incomes, you know, maybe like the adventurous side of the world isn't the easiest conversation to have, but I felt that I could really say the things that were just in my head and help identify, you know, where next, taking a passion and maybe turning it into something.
And that's an interesting point that you bring up, because a lot of times with life coaching, they say you really shouldn't be coached by a family member or someone that you're really close to, because they all maybe have an agenda that we're not aware of, or that maybe that they're not even aware of. So while we were still friends, I thought that, you know, that was still kind of a little close, but I think that it actually helped our process in terms of, you know, getting you to kind of open up a little bit. But oftentimes, you know, it's nice to work with somebody who you don't know at all, who can be very objective and really kind of, you know, get you guys to think outside the box. So
yeah, I think that you put some hard questions out to me and just kind of made me focus and say, what would I want to do? And explore different things. And I took those steps and I went to culinary school. I investigated different short-term culinary options. So I went to Boston University's certificate program in culinary arts. And, you know, it opened up a whole new world for me. One, I was always passionate about cooking, and it just like ignited a fire in me, but still I didn't know what I was going to do. So our work wasn't done and my exploration wasn't done.
Right. I remember we were talking about that. I was kind of like, think outside the box, like think about something that you probably never would have imagined happening. And then you started going down this sort of whole world about food and culinary. And, you know, I remember, tell us a little bit, because I actually remember you were talking about all these different areas that were sort of related to food, and you weren't quite sure how to sort of narrow it down between catering and, you know, teaching or styling and all of that. So talk a little bit about
and I think that one thing that, you know, you helped me with is don't be afraid to try different things. And if I'm going to do this new venture, then really do it and really investigate and go out and try different things. So once I graduated the program, I put myself out there to do things that I probably would have never imagined myself doing. And still I look back and say, I can't believe I did that. You know, I worked and taught children's program at BU. So I started with little steps, and through the university program that they have there, which was awesome, we work with a Cooking Up Culture program foundation to bring awareness to children about different cuisines and ethnic cuisines. And so I taught with them, which was exciting, and then moved on and took the step of interning on a TV show for a chef, and that opened up a whole area of another passion for me, which was the set design and the artistic way of having sets set up and propping, and worked with the director of that show, the director of design, And that was a great opportunity, and I felt it's kind of crazy to be interning at my age, but you know what? It was a new world, you know, as we talked about, like, get out there and do things. And
Right, right. And I remember I had given you a lot of homework assignments, and did you find those to be helpful? Do you recall any of them in particular?
You know, you had me really sit down and think about where I saw my life and how much did I want to put into each different box of my life. And I think that was really helpful in really visualizing that on paper and then talking it through with you.
Right, right. I mean, that's the thing with life coaching. I mean, it's one thing to kind of talk about it and sort of be, you know, pie in the sky, but then ultimately you have to put some actions to that, you know, and have some steps that you're going to be taking to kind of explore, you know, is this a direction I want to go in, or is it, well, I thought this might be what I wanted, but now after I look at it, it's really not the direction.
Right,
you know?
It's not always a straight path when you try something new, and, you know, we talked through this, and there were times where I still wasn't sure, and I did kind of, I won't say bounce around, but I tried different things. It was an exploration time. So I did do some food style. I was lucky enough to be in a situation where I met the editor of the food section of the Globe, and I was able to food style with her, and I loved it and loved it. And it was fun, it was exciting. I got to play with a set of my own and cook the food, so it was combining everything. Although I wasn't fully busy during that time, but you know, that was another section that you were kind of helping with me and trying to motivate me to do those things.
And it's a difficult field to kind of break into, and I was so impressed with how, you know, how far along in that area that you got just right out of the gate, you know. So I was like, you know, this is great, and I think you could, you know, continue to pursue it. But then, you know, I think other opportunities presented themselves.
I was hit with another crossroads through my through my work with the internship on the TV show. An opportunity came up to work in marketing and PR for this chef, and also have some involvement on the show. And that was a big decision, because I went from working in this 9-to-5 job, or I won't say 9 to 5 because they're never 9 to 5, to you know, having this really creative time. And although it was combining food and office, it really intrigued me, and I think that was a time that working with you and just kind of going through those questions, and you being my live pros and con board that really put the hard thoughts into my head, helped me to decide to take that chance.
Excuse me. So what is the part of the job that you have now that you're that you love the most?
My job, I love that I have multiple responsibilities. I can be marketing the program or be behind the desk. I've now jumped ahead and I've come full circle, and I'm back at BU working in the program that I changed my life and went to, their culinary program. I'm actually managing that program, so for me it's coming home. And it was an opportunity to be able to throw on a chef coat, be in the kitchen, and help other people who are maybe changing their career or just starting in their career. I get to work with so many wonderful chefs, and so I'm still igniting that passion of being able to touch the food and to handle it, but also I'm able to sit behind the desk and think about what can we do to better this program, how do I push it forward or help to, or what we can do to make sure the students of today are getting the best lessons they can possibly have.
No, that's great. I mean, one of the things in life coaching that I think we probably did work on too is sort of talking about our values and sort of the value systems that we have and what's really important to us. And, you know, it sounds like having that flexibility, having some variety is something that you value in your job and in life, you know.
Yeah, I think what I was looking for is that earlier in my career, I was working nonstop, checking your emails at night and, you know, traveling a lot. I was traveling once a month and for a week at a time. And I was looking to slow down and really reconnect with my life and live my life. nothing wrong with someone who wants to work nonstop and be there, but I just really felt the need to ground myself again, and that's where I think I was looking for your guidance, because I wanted to find a career, or I still wanted to feel like I had a career, but I also wanted to feel like I had a home life too.
Right, right. No, that's really important, this balance there. So what's next for you, Lisa?
Next, I don't know. Next, next, you know, I want to continue doing what I'm doing now. I love it, and I hope.
How long have you been with BU now?
I've been with BU for close to 2 years, and we've done some exciting changes to it. It's a wonderful program. It's rooted in such culinary history, started by Julia Charles, Jacques Papin, and the director of our program, Rebecca Alsed. It's just an amazing program, so I hope to be involved with it as long as possible. You know, I think for me, the next challenge is focusing on, it's hopefully buying another house and shaking my home life up a little bit there.
Yeah. Well, we can certainly explore that together. So for those people who might be considering life coaching, what would you tell them?
I think it's a valuable resource that some people may not know about or understand. Like you said, you're not going to a therapist. You're going to someone to talk things out, to kind of help pave your path and open your eyes to what you're saying and figure out what your thoughts are. Sometimes I think that we all have these wishes and dreams and we don't know how to get there. So I think that a life coach is someone that can help you get to those decisions and help you in that way.
Yeah, well, thank you. So before we sort of end our discussion, would you be willing to sort of participate in a brief life coaching on-the-fly session with me right now?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. Well, is there a particular problem or issue that you want to talk about, or?
I guess right now my husband and I are really trying to decide about leaving our current home and purchasing something new, but where do we go? What do we see that looking like? What do we want to do? Do we just trying to figure that out and what makes sense to us?
And you've been exploring this for a while, right? It's been some time you've been thinking about it, but now you're sort of getting a little bit more involved.
Kind of like, you know, stepping in a little bit, stepping back, and just really, I really want to get myself to really just make that a focus and a priority and kind of start a new chapter in our lives and have a new exploration period of a new unknown area, or maybe it's 2 miles from my house. I don't know.
Right. Well, I was going to say, well, what's really the most important thing for you in terms of making a switch? Like, what is it that you hope to sort of resolve or feel better about in terms of your moving?
Currently, I think I'd love to be, right now I'm in an environment where we have a multi-family home, so we have tenants on the first floor, which that's not the issue at all. It's just I want to be able to open my door and let my dog out, or I want to open the door and walk out and grill. I want to enjoy my backyard. Right now it's kind of, you have to walk down a couple flights, go around to the back, and by the time I've done that, I've lost interest.
So logistically, it kind of isn't flowing the way you want it to be.
And just a little more space, but still comfort and homey.
And so what other things? So, because I mean, that kind of leaves things pretty broad in terms of, like, you could probably go anywhere that has no tenants in a house. So what other things are more?
I'd like to be, I guess we'd like to be in a certain area, as far as I've always worked with a commute, and I'm okay with dealing with that commute, but maybe we can make mine just a little better and balance it out. He's always had a 5 to 8 minute commute.
Right.
He might say it's 10 to 15, but I don't believe it.
So distance, location is important, right?
Feeling like we're in a different area, but being somewhat in the same area.
Okay.
If that makes
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. You know, you feel, I mean, even, it sounds like maybe even the smallest change in this area might have huge benefits for you.
I mean, you know, then we've gone back and forth, and one argument is stay where we are and go down the Cape and buy a house, you know, and I've gone back and forth a few times, and I think it's just really need to visualize and finalize where I want to be.
Right, right. So one of the things that we like to do in life coaching is sort of, you know, you mentioned going down the Cape. So obviously we think money's an issue because we don't have endless amounts but let's say we did have endless amounts. So say we had a big pot of money that just fell on the table and it was for you to do with what you would want. So what would that look like then?
Well, if that pot was big enough, I'd probably be down on the vineyard or in another house somewhere else. So I think ultimately it would be changing my environment where I am today.
Yeah.
I would have two places.
You'd have two places. So ideally that would be
one of the places. They both would be new places. They wouldn't be the same place I'm in.
Right. I mean, because those are things too that you might want to explore a little bit further, because sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean we have to buy a place outright. But is there a way to sort of make some shifts in other parts of your life that might be able to accommodate that, depending on how important it is, you know? Or, you know, there are other alternatives, like perhaps, you know, you rent a place or you share a place, or, you know, different things like that. So, you know, I think in our work together, it'd be like to kind of have fun with it and really explore what would really get you really happy, really motivated, really excited. And that's what I'm trying to listen for, is to see, you know, when you talk about Martha's Vineyard, you immediately perk up, and I can tell that, oh, that would be a dream, you know. And that's where I like to start. It's kind of, let's start with the dream and sort of figure out where we can go from there, versus like starting from, well, any little shift would be happy, you know, would make me happy. Well, let's not just settle for happy, let's settle for like ecstatic, you know. So, you know, that would be something that, you know, I would want to work with you a little bit more on, to see if we couldn't get...
We'll have to continue this.
Right.
We'll have to find that pot of gold.
Right. So one of the things, too, that I like to just talk a little bit about is sort of the wheel of life. I'm going to just do a little drawing for you. And I think you and I had done this exercise a while back, but it's also very good to exercise to do, you know, periodically in your life. So what we have is this wheel of life, and it's, of course, you know, our life is just made up of a lot of different components, and I think we had talked about it. So we have career. Forgive my handwriting, it's not very good. And we have health. And we have money, finances. We have family and friends. We have spirituality. Let's see what, and we also have like personal development. If you can read that. I'm writing upside down. And so these are some of the major areas that we you know, like to talk about. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is really to kind of give this a score of 1 to 10. And sort of rate, you know, where am I in health, in terms of my health? Am I happy with where I am? Do I feel like that needs improvement?
I would say, I'm always tough on myself, but I would say a 7.
A 7, okay. And then in terms of finances?
You know, I have to say, you know, I'm sure everyone always would love a little bit more, but I'm pretty happy. I don't think more means more happiness to me.
So you sounds like it's pretty up there on this.
I'm pretty happy. So I would say between a 7 and an 8, because I would never give it a 10.
All right, we'll give it a 7.5. Is that right? So we'll kind of draw in a line sort of in terms of the pie. Family, friends.
Family, friends, way very important in my world, and so I would give that a 9.
Okay, great. I'm going to add this too. We have to do relationships as another one. Okay, so that's a 9. So spirituality?
Spirituality. I'm not...
And this doesn't mean that you have to be spiritual to score
right.
high. It's in terms of how important is that in your life, and how, where do you feel that you are in terms of the importance of it. So if you felt that it was really important and yet you're not doing anything in that area, you'd rate it very low, but and vice versa.
I would say it's a 7, that I'm happy with what I do and
you're comfortable with things there.
I mean, I'm questioning the health one. I have work to do on the health, but I'm questioning. I'm good at it right now. So, okay.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to add another one.
She's getting tough.
We're adding home, which we did talk about a little bit, home environment, or just physical environment. So when we do personal development, and that could be, how you feel about yourself and growing as a person, and,
I would say I feel pretty good. I'm going to give myself an 8.
Good. 8 gets up here. Home environment, we already kind of talked about.
Home environment, that definitely needs some work. I mean, we have a lovely home and I'm happy there, but it's definitely a point where I need some changes. So I'm going to say a 4.
A 4, okay. So that's kind of down here. And then relationships?
Relationships, I'm very happy. I would say a 9.
Good. And then
I hope
career.
those around me are happy, though.
We'll get to them real next.
Career, I am, I'd like to continue to grow in my career and continue to educate myself so I can give more. So I would say a 7.5. Okay. I'm happy, but I want to push myself to do more.
Okay. It's cool. So this is kind of your wheel. I mean, and again, something to explore, more in depth. I tend to like to draw little lines to kind of see how we're doing and where the dips are. So we see there's a little dip there. So it's kind of like a wheel, but that's got a little bit of a prong. So these are the areas that we kind of want to focus on.
Yeah, so I think we clearly know that.
And you clearly know that this is something
that's where my...
Right. And then we could talk about, how we bring those all up to a 9, or 10 even.
And I think it's interesting, as we've done this before, that where it was unbalanced before in my career.
Right.
So you can do this many times and many times have different outcomes.
Right. Well, thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate you
Thanks
coming
for having
down
me.
here, and I appreciate you sharing all of this personal stuff with us. So is there anything else that you want to say or add? Or
I think that people shouldn't be afraid to work with a life coach. I think that a life coach doesn't mean that your life is going crazy and you need some help. I just think it's someone that's going to help focus you and kind of get you to identify those points and to move forward. So I think it's something that can benefit anyone, whether it's the smallest change or the biggest change.
Right, right.
Change is good. The unknown is not good, is difficult and scary, but the other side is very...
Right, right. Well, I agree. I think there's a lot of things that we can all do to improve our lives, and why not take that step? So thank you, Lisa, for coming.
Thank you.
And if anybody would like to be a participant in Crossroads or in a future life coaching session, feel free to contact me, Angela Vescio Wilcox at Crossroads, right here at Norfolk Community Television. You'll see the address on the screen. And I welcome anybody to call and write and give us some information on what they would be interested in, and I would love to speak with you. So thank you for coming.
Thanks, Ange.
Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on Crossroads.